about, bro? Talk to me about,
Episode 4.
Hey, episode 4. We live. We here. We're enjoying the moment.
We made it.
Peaceful. Time to pod. Let's rap. Let's
All
rap.
right.
Let's talk.
Kick us off. What's our first topic?
Hey, it's first topic. First topic. One I know it's gonna get spicy in here for a lot of y'all, cause I know we all be dealing with it sometimes, and sometimes we on the opposite end of it as well. You know, trying to give our friends advice in relationships and vice versa, knowing when to take that advice and knowing when not to. But first topic we talking about is friends' opinion in your relationship, and should you always listen? So, as a female, I'm asking you, Sarah, do you listen to the outside opinion of your friends when they question you about your relationship? Or relationships you've had in the past, or how do you handle those situations, or how have you handled those situations?
That's a tough one because I value my friendships, like my friends' opinions, a lot.
Say less.
But I think as I've gotten older, I've learned that there are just some things in your relationship that are between you and your partner.
For sure.
And I think that's probably where a lot of this topic kind of stems from, is a lot of the other conversations that we've had about getting feedback from your friends and how that impacts your relationship. And at the end of the day, nobody hates your ex more than your best friend, right?
Can't stand
and once you
Can't stand them.
and I don't blame them because I'm the same way.
Yeah,
you know, we
for sure.
love hard on our friends and family, and so if you truly value that person, if someone hurts them, of course you're going to be upset. And sometimes we don't like that person more than the person that was in the actual relationship, right?
Yeah.
Because we carry that pain for them. And so, like, I think now where I'm at in my life is I have friends that know how to give advice
Yeah.
and understand that I may or may not take said advice.
Okay.
You know, because it's our relationship at the end of the day. They're an outside perspective, so I value their opinions, but it's my decision how I move forward, and I have to take ownership for that. And like, my friends know that I appreciate you caring enough to give me your opinion and looking out for my best interest, but know that I'm going to do what I feel is best for me in the long run. And as my friend, I would hope that you will support me, and vice versa. Like, I will give my friends advice on their... Actually, I really don't give very much relationship advice. I'm not going to lie. I do more listening.
Listening, okay. I'm rocking with it.
Yeah, because honestly, it's not my business to give relationship advice.
Okay.
I mean, I think that I can have an opinion, of course, but every situation is different. You know, I don't have kids. A lot of my closest friends do have children. So how they move in relationships would be very much different than how I have the privilege to move in some of my relationships, you know? But I do think that you have to allow the opinions of others to come in from a distance and know that whatever you choose to tell your family or friends, once you give them that information, you can't take it back.
Not at all.
And how they choose to then perceive your partner based off of what you say is something that you're going to have to be stuck with.
Okay.
And
you got to deal with it. You got to deal with those consequences.
And I think sometimes we go to our friends as a venting session because we are frustrated in our relationship. So we go to our friend, oh my God, I can't believe he did this. He didn't clean that, whatever it is, right? But then if he did something, or in my case, I'm going to speak from my perspective, right? If he did something hurtful, cheated on you, was disrespectful, raised his voice, anything that you took personal, like, angst, like it bothered you that much, and you tell your friends, know that they're going to carry that opinion of your partner, and you have to decide how you're going to navigate that now. So now you have two problems on your hands. How are you going to choose to move in your relationship? But now, how do you mend that relationship with your friends and your partner? Because they're feeling some type of way.
Especially if you decide to circle the block.
Ew.
Especially if you decide to circle
But I
the
think
block.
it even comes down, like, sometimes those things happen before you're even broken up, right?
Yeah.
Like, you may have just gotten into an argument with your significant other. And who do you call when you're upset? You call your best friends, right? You call them to talk through things. And if you get them involved in every single fight that you're in, they may see a pattern, right?
Okay.
And when you go, you're not telling, a lot of times, we don't tell what we did
Of
to
course. I mean, because that's
add
not,
fuel to the fire.
that's not going to be, I mean, why would I?
It's not a comfortable thing to do.
Why
Some
would-
people will.
Why would I speak on some of my perceived bad behaviors to people that I want to feel sorry
Because
for me
God
in that
forbid we
moment?
take accountability.
Yeah, I mean, but that's really something that happens. So, just my,
You are super passionate about this subject.
I mean,
so.
not that I'm.
No,
I'm
you are super passionate.
Yeah, I'm passionate about it because to me, at some point in time, it's just ridiculous, right? So, okay, I understand.
Well, and I think you have more of an experience with it because females tend to get more heavily involved, in my opinion,
Yeah.
in our friends' lives than, and I'm not saying males don't, but we talk a lot more.
Yeah, okay.
You know? Would you say?
I do. I would say that. But my biggest issue is, and this for fellas, ladies, listen closely. Stop going to your friends, okay, that have never had a great relationship in their lives and taking advice from them. That's like me getting advice from the front door, okay? It literally makes no sense. The front door ain't going to tell me nothing about no relationship. Just like your friends that have never had a productive or healthy relationship in their entire existence is going to tell you something productive about how you should save yours. Okay, so that right there in a nutshell is my issue. We run the people, we run the friends, we do this thing where we run the friends for advice that have never once had a healthy or good relationship. And we have to be able to be self-aware enough to recognize these things.
Yeah.
Okay? It's like me going to a person with bad news all the time. Like, come on, man. Like, at some point in time, hey, that person I'm delivering that news to gonna just, hey, man, hey, I'm trying to duck to Sean. God dang, every time he come see me, he got something bad to say. So that's how I view those people. It's some friends you could go to and tell them anything, and they gonna have something bad to tell you. So personally,
But at that point, why are they your friend?
that's when. But personally speaking, and I'm gonna say this: sometimes some of these people are not bad friends. They just bad for that topic. They bad for that conversation, and that's a reality. Like, some people don't have good advice on certain things. Certain things they may not be good at. We have to be able to recognize that. And I think that's where the problem come in, right? Because we want to run to these people seeking advice when we know they don't have any. But sometimes I feel like that's the point. Because we want somebody to sympathize with us. We want somebody to feel pity on us. We want somebody to feel that same anger that we feel at that moment. Another issue I got is you going throwing all that shade just to circle the block a week later. Make it make sense. And we see this all the time. I've had friends that have done it. Personally, we might have been in certain situations, we've done it. This is why, as human beings, sometimes it's okay to take 5, dog. Take 5, gather your thoughts, and then come back to your person and have that discussion before you go out there scorch earth.
Right.
Okay, because if it's a situation where I circle the block next week, but I done fanned you out to my mama, my daddy, my sister, my best friend, now all of a sudden, it's hard to walk some of those things back. I can't make those people see me the way they once did. Even if me and you done decided to move forward, even if me and you get in a good space, it's always, man, girl, why you still with him? You see how he did you? So now I can never escape that. Even if I made the mistake, I can never get back what I had with those people.
Right.
That's why you need to be very careful how you moving and discussing some of these things.
Right.
And I tell people that all the time because that's another quick way to ruin your relationship completely if it was salvageable. Because sometimes you can't overcome those things. Sometimes family and friend can't be brought back. they can't be persuaded to come back. It's not enough nice things you could do for your partner in the world to get them to see you the way they once did.
For sure.
So we really, really, really gotta be careful how we move in these situations. I'm super passionate about it just because we play this dangerous game sometime, and oftentimes we always end up losing, right?
Yeah.
Because again, I'm fine with friends giving you advice, but stop going to your friends that got about as much knowledge about relationships as your front door, because they ain't never had one that was long lasting. You ain't never seen them with a man or a woman for more than 2 or 3 months. Come on, like this stuff ridiculous. And then this will be the thing that be blowing me. You will have friends you know bad with relationships. They terrible. They bad. You know they bad. You still going to talk to them.
Why are you yelling?
Man, I'm like, come on, man. Like, what are we talking about here, Sarah? You know they bad.
Did somebody hurt your feelings?
They ain't hurt my feelings. But, man, I be looking like, God, you listen to them? That who you listening to? You know they bad. Yeah. You still over there eating it up. Okay, cool.
But I think two things,
right? And before you go, the other crazy part. Friends that they don't talk to you about and tell you, my homegirl or my homeboy crazy. They terrible in relationships. Week later, they airing your ass out to them. What? Didn't you just tell me? Didn't you? Don't worry about it. I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Well.
I mean, come on, man. Come on, Sarah. Come on, talk to him, man. Because I'm just trying to figure some stuff out.
I think two things, right?
I'm trying.
The first thing is, I think just as much as we need to evaluate our relationship with a significant other, we also need to evaluate our friendships, right? So does your relationship serve you is the first question that we should always be looking at, and vice versa. But two, I think when we're younger, we think all of our friends or acquaintances are at the same level, right? Like, everybody we meet, everybody is someone that you can go to for everything. And as we've gotten older, I can speak for myself, you learn that you have your select group of small, close people that you rely on and you know are trustworthy and give you sound advice. And they may give you, like you said earlier, sound advice on different aspects of your life. And it's okay to have friends that you go to for different things. Everybody doesn't need to have all of the information all the time. And that is okay. Like, that doesn't make any one friend a better friend than another. It just means you each bring different things to each other's lives.
Exactly.
And so it's so, so important to know the difference between acquaintances who you can just, keep your ha-ha with. And then your real friends who truly value who you are, what you're trying to pursue. Because those friends are the ones who will listen to your strife and your struggles and your venting and still tell you, I support you whatever decision you make.
Yeah, but just be self-aware.
Sometimes, but that's a whole different conversation.
But sometimes,
because self-awareness.
Yeah, but sometimes you just got friends
like common sense.
Sometimes you got friends that you love, you care about, but they just not good at certain things, and that's okay.
And that's what
I'm not going to get no advice from one of my friends that's bad at something.
Of
course.
It's
okay to recognize that as a grown individual and not do it. But we still find ourselves in those situations.
But then that circles back to the self-awareness piece that you just talked about, that we need to take some accountability as well when these situations occur, that, yes, you're going to a friend that maybe isn't qualified to give you advice, but why do I want to go to the friend that's going to co-sign on all of my negativity and...
the most beautiful
that's
thing.
Gonna encourage me to make bad decisions. Like I can't tell you how many times maybe not so much now, but especially when I was younger, like early 20s, even teenagers, you get into an argument with your boyfriend, you're like, F him, you don't need him, da 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 da. Okay, That's not how grown people sort out
Not at
relationships,
all.
right? When
We
things
passed
go
that.
bad, if your friends are encouraging you to just walk out, like, don't ever go to that friend again.
Again.
For a relationship
It's
advice.
nothing else to say.
Especially if you have friends that are married
Not
or
one
have been
thing to say.
in long-term relationships, because
Not
that's
one
not
thing to say.
how you resolve things. But when you're not self-aware and you can't understand that it took two to get to that, most times it takes two to get to that horrible situation where you're in, it will, like, you're going to go to that friend that tells you, oh, he's trash, you don't need him, you can get better. The grass is not always greener, folks.
No.
Okay? It's green where you water it. So sometimes you need to
Big facts.
take 5 minutes, like you said,
I'm telling you,
breathe,
there's nothing wrong
and
with
have that conversation with your significant other
with it.
before you run to your friends and go tell them everything that's going on in your relationship.
I'm going to end it. Nothing done out of anger ends well.
Exactly.
As a grown individual, please learn to take a second, gather your thoughts, go over certain scenarios in your head, but honestly have a conversation before you have the conversation.
Yep.
It's okay to gather your thoughts as a grown individual and just make sure that you've internalized it first, that you went over it yourself, and that you are coming back at it in a peaceful manner and not from a place of super anger, okay? Because that's never going to end well. In most cases, that never solves any issues, just going to make it worse. So I think it's a good time to shift the focus. Let's dive into topic number two. I'm going to let my wonderful co-host go ahead and drop the next topic on you guys.
All right. So topic number 2 is about wasting your prime years on the wrong people. So we're
Ooh,
heading.
boy, it's gonna get spicy with this one.
So first question. My first question is, what do you consider your prime years?
Whew. Oh man. So how so this one right here gonna get spicy. You know what I mean? So like we just gonna attack it head on because people gonna feel away no matter what you say. So hey, we just gonna we wanted to start this because we want to be real. So let's be real.
Yep.
First off, if I had to say for men, let's be real, right? Our prime probably gonna stretch a little bit longer, right? Not necessarily in the fact that women don't have the same prime as us. It's just that in the case, let's say if you a career woman, maybe your prime stretch. If you a career woman, you didn't want kids, you didn't want things of that nature, I think me and you can agree on that. Your prime stretches, right? But if you a woman that wanted kids, wanted a family, your prime years may not necessarily be that long. I think obviously this a triggering topic for a lot of women. I think it's a triggering topic more so for women than men. And like I said, we've been out here, we see the climate, we've had conversations, so a lot of women start taking it personally. But to me, it's not a personal thing. It's just a factual thing, right? So whereas you probably got a man in the stretch of your prime years, I would say because I don't consider anything above like 23 your prime years because that's your youth. You pretty super young, mind young, thoughts young, right? But I do think probably about 24. In most cases for men, it can stretch to about mid 40s, early 40s. You know what I mean? For women though, in that same right, and the reason why I say that too is because of women. You will have a 40, 42, 45-year-old to pull a 24, 23-year-old, 21-year-old woman. Nah.
That's because we look good.
Nah, and that's fine, right? And that's fine. Yeah, and that's fine. But that's real though. You did. Hey, that's a great point you made because y'all look good. Okay, so obviously, as we know, younger women enter the dating market, enter the circle every year. This is a cycle of life, right? But as a man, you can pull that off. Why can you pull that off? Based on what you can provide. And so, as a man, if you do have your stuff together, your prime stretches. Okay? If you have your stuff together, if you have your life together, your prime stretches. Why? Because having your shit together is attractive. Having things is attractive. Right? Being able to provide is attractive. Okay, so the prime stretches out for us a lot longer, right? If those women did want kids, okay, we can still conceive and do all that at that age, right? Okay, cool. So the prime stretches. Now, when we go back to the case of a woman, right? If you're not a career woman, if you're not seeking just to be a career woman, live out your days, doing your thing out here, doing whatever you do, or if you are not a woman that chose a certain type of lifestyle, maybe you chose to live a certain type of lifestyle that revolved around using your body, things of that nature to get the things you want, more power to you. That's your decision, right? If you didn't make that decision, and let's say that you wanted kids, let's say that you did some of those things, but you picked the wrong partner. Okay, now you wasted all of your prime years. So let's say now you done drug it out and you in your 30s. You got a kid or two, but you single. Okay, now what is your expectation? You entering the dating market, you trying to find something, right? But the problem is, like I said, a lot of time has been wasted on the wrong guy. So now in your 30s, you out here and what are you doing? You're seeking the right man. You're seeking the right fit. Okay, but I use this analogy. Your catalog was looking like Future. Catalog was looking like Future for the longest. Now you come back to earth, you looking for a Russell Wilson. You should have been trying to find the right man the whole time. Okay, and then a lot of women be like, oh, it ain't no right man. Kill that. That's ridiculous. And I'm saying that for men and women. That's the dumbest thing I think people say. Oh, it ain't no good men, ain't no good women. No, it's not. Timing matters and preference matters. A lot of time your preference when you young ain't your preference when you older. And so we try to play this game where we want to blame the fact that we want to blame everything on the dating pool. We don't want to take any personal responsibility for any other choices we made.
But the dating pool.
It is. Okay, whether you want to say it's bad or good, right? But we still make personal decisions on these people. Mm-hmm. Okay, so now, we got what we got. You can't blame it all on it's not no good people out here. Mm-hmm. That's a lie. Okay, because at a certain points in time, and I tell people this all the time, you know me and you rap about it. It's somebody that crossed your path that you know damn well I should have gave that a chance. Okay, but maybe at the time he was corny. Maybe at the time she was corny. Maybe at the time he didn't have what you needed. Maybe she didn't have what you needed. Maybe certain things just wasn't in place. Maybe the time was bad.
Or you were distracted by something that you shouldn't have.
You shouldn't have. Okay, so at that point in time, because me and you done talked about this, right? We done been in relationships both ways, right? So we done experienced people that done told you horrific stories about people that they've been with for 14 years.
For sure.
So how did you get knocked upside your head for half the time and stay? Or how was you getting cheated on for half the time and stay? Mm-hmm. How did you get cheated on, then decide to have a baby number 2? So all I'm saying is, and for men, why did you stay and she was siphoning all your money? Why did you decide to stay and you knew she wasn't a good fit for what you was trying to do in your life? Okay, so what I'm saying is, and what I'm trying to get at is, we make personal decisions on people. In the case of women, though, sometimes it's bad, right? Because me and you talk about this all the time. If I'm 30 and let me preface this by saying this is no, listen, had a single mother, was raised by a single black beautiful queen, so this is no shade to single moms at all, right? But when we get in those situations, of course, me and you talk about this all the time. Yeah, your dating pool gonna be limited. It's gonna be limited. Why? Because not every man is trying to take care of somebody else's offspring. Not every man can come in and be dad and feel comfortable, because women got to understand that's hard for a man. It's hard for a man to step into that role. And sometimes women don't even understand how hard it is. You trying to come in, be a positive influence of this. Oh, you ain't my daddy. Whoa, what? Huh? Or you being expected to step up and do certain things because you know maybe she's not good at it, and it just puts you in an awkward position. So yeah, you lost. You don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. And and sometimes women don't understand how to help that. So yeah, it hurts to say, but it does hurt you. And sometimes if you have 2 or 3, hey, most men just saying, hey, woo, I'm done. It's no way. Why? Because why would I take all that on? And then not to mention if you have a bad relationship with your baby father. Those situations got to be the worst. Because either the situation's so bad that his hands clean of it at all costs, right? And then those situations can sometimes be easier for a dude. But if it's not, and y'all just bad, now he talking crazy to her. You don't know how to operate around it. He still got to see his kids. You don't know how to operate around it. So it's just bad. So in saying all this, yeah, like some of those situations, people don't like honesty, but the honest situation is, yeah, your dating pool cut in half at that point. Your prime years are wasted, and a lot of times it is hard to find your next man or your next suitor after all that done been done. And so, yeah, a lot of women hate to hear that, right? But in those scenarios and situations, yeah, you probably have wasted a lot of your prime years and your time on the wrong people. And then once you realize the things that you actually need, it may be at that point too late. And it's Tashawn sitting up here saying, oh, you ain't never gonna find. Nobody's saying that. But yeah, it's harder. It's harder. And it's okay to say that, you know? I mean, it's a tough thing to talk about. This is a tough topic to go over because everybody gets so personally offended by the truth of the matter sometimes. Sometimes our reality, Sarah, is just our reality. It can't be shifted. It can't be reshaped. Sometimes you can't go back in the time machine. You can't do all that. You have to accept your reality, and you have to work, of course, on being better and trying to still. Nobody's saying nobody don't deserve love or happiness, even if you got kids. Nobody's saying that. Right. But you also have to understand now how much more complex that is for your next partner. And you have to be realistic. Instead of sitting here complaining, making it seem like people should do something, or just kind of outright being, you know, at that point, oh, ain't no good, ain't no gonna buy no step. They need to step up. People don't need to be afraid of it. Man, come on, man. This real life. This ain't Sims. Like, this real life. This ain't Sims. So people gotta stop. Get out your feelings. It's real reasons why some of these things are a conversation and some of these things matter. And like I said, you know, it's a tough topic, tough conversation, because I get it. People be like, okay, well, hell, you single. Yeah, all right, cool. But some of that is a choice Tashawn made. I've had some good situations that I wanted. I fumbled some good situations. I had some situations time was wrong. That's life. That's the reality. But at this point junction in time, it's only Tashawn, dog. That's it. So I don't have no baggage. Ain't no skeleton jumping out my closet. Ain't nothing I have to go tell nobody or talk to reverb or re-switch my situation. It's just a point of, okay, when Tashawn ready to settle down? When Tashawn ready to do that with somebody? When Tashawn open to coming together with somebody? And so it's easier to do when you don't have a lot of those things.
For sure.
People don't understand it's harder to do when you do have some of those things, and they try to create this.
Well, I think they understand.
Yeah.
I just don't think that sometimes people want to recognize that, right?
Okay.
Because nobody wakes up and they're like, I want to be a single parent.
Nobody.
You know, at some point in time, we made adult decisions.
Of course.
To lay in bed and create a baby, right? And it's difficult to say, but that is the price they pay. And a lot of times it is the mom that carries the burden, and I say burden, but they're really a blessing, like, of the child, right? Especially if it doesn't work out with the parent. When you go into the dating pool, it makes things more challenging. But to circle back to talking about our prime years, do you feel that you're in your prime now?
What, as a man? Of course. Yeah, I feel like I'm in my prime years right now. I would say that, most definitely. You know what I mean? And like I told you, I feel like a man's prime years do stretch, right? Mm-hmm. And I feel like a man can be in his prime years a lot longer, right? Long as you healthy, you doing the right things with your body, handling your business, on the other end, financially, things of that nature, taking care of yourself. I do think you can kind of elongate your window for that, right? And like I told you, I just think, and like I said, people can disagree or they can agree, but an older man always has a shot to get a younger woman. And I know a big thing, because it's probably going to become up just because we having a conversation about grooming. Nobody's talking about grooming. No, that has nothing to do with what I'm talking about. I'm just saying,
Grooming?
about grooming somebody, trying to.
Oh, I understand.
That's what I'm saying.
You
Come
said
on now.
grooming, and I'm thinking like hair.
No, not at all. Not
I
at all.
understand.
So when I talk about grooming,
Their partner,
they mean
yes.
trying to just groom a partner, right? They want somebody younger so they feel like they can build them up, they can kind of mold them and shape them. No, ma'am, I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying older men always have a shot at younger women, period. And a lot of younger women tend to go for older men. Why? Because there's security there. Your older men are established. They know what they want, and that's attractive to women. So when we had this conversation, that's why I always say, we got to be real. We can't come into it, oh, my feelings hurt. That don't got nothing to do with it. Okay, take your feelings and check them at the door. This just a conversation we having because it is a real one. And it's one that a lot of women face, right? And because as we talk about it, a lot of women waste good years on the wrong dude, and they consistently waste them trying to make that situation work. And we see it all the time. They could run into, and like I said, I'm not just blowing smoke and making this stuff come out of thin air. You will have women that be getting degraded for 14 to 10 years, 2 babies in, still trying to salvage something with a dude that they got no business with. Whereas, like, why would you do that? And again, so everybody understand me, I get love. Love a powerful thing. But I feel like sometimes we use love as this overarching, this thing that just throws a veil over everything. Love can't sustain everything, people. I'm going to say this again. Love can't sustain everything. Love is not going to sustain you through everything. Okay, it got to be more to your relationship. Everything just can't be predicated off I love you, because I could be loving the person that's killing me. I could be loving the person that's sucking my soul dry every day, right? I could be loving the person that's taking from me every day and not allowing to see me win. So when we have this conversation, it has to be in nuance, because as we talk about this, none of this stuff is to hurt anybody. We started this to help people. But in order to help people, people actually got to recognize where they're at and why. And then we got to learn to do things differently. And I don't care what situation you in, you can always turn that page. You can go a different route if you decide to.
So on your timeline, where do you think a woman's prime ends? Because you said a man is like maybe mid-40s.
That's hard, man. It's not hard. It's hard to say in general, right? If a woman makes it to their deep 30s, if a woman makes it to, and this is what we talk about too, because I don't like stereotypes, right? We can agree on that. We don't like stereotypes. We don't want people to make generalities about how people live and what happens, right? But I think a lot of people do, right? A lot of people see a woman that if they make it to their deep 30s, but they got a kid or they got two, a lot of men do see that as a red flag.
But we're not talking about red flags. We're talking about prime.
Okay, so in the prime years, for a woman, I say 35.
Damn, I ain't got much time left.
Oh my God, see you.
I don't know. So I think prime depends.
Let you go. Look, you go ahead, cause I know
Yeah,
they
'cause I
I know they
disagree.
coming to my. They gonna come to my neck, but I'm listening. Go ahead.
Yeah, because I do disagree.
Okay, and I'm fine with
I
that.
think that prime depends on the person.
Okay.
It's like on an individual basis.
Remember though, before you go, I did say if you a career woman and you decide to do certain things, that's
Okay.
totally different than
I
somebody
know.
got kids.
I understand. I heard you. But I think, like, for me, I feel like I'm just hitting my prime now.
Okay.
Like, as a 32-year-old woman.
Okay.
And I have spent many years in the relationship with wrong people.
Yeah. But do you got kids?
No.
Okay.
But that's not what we're talking about.
No,
we're
we not.
talking about
But
prime years.
yeah, but that
And
that plays a role into
I do think it does.
Okay.
But that's why I think it's on a case-by-case basis.
as far as your relationship prime, because
Right.
that's what we really talking about. So let's, we gotta. That's all I'm saying. We gotta kind of preface that a little bit. I'm not, me and you having dialogue, but I'm just saying. Remember now, this conversation, people around your prime relationship years.
Mm-hmm.
So a man prime relationship years do stretch, but
I didn't argue with that.
But depending on
But I
what
think
the decisions
also,
a woman
like-
has made,
So you keep saying the decision that a woman has made, but like you're leaving out the fact that a man made that decision. With her.
Okay, a man did make that decision
Right.
with her, but okay, so you correct, right? A man.
And so just as much as a woman with a child weighs on a relationship, a man with a child does as well.
Yeah.
So I will say, let me finish
Okay,
though,
go
because
ahead.
I will say it's much, in my opinion and in my experience, I think women accept a man with a child much easier than a man does a female.
Okay, and why is
that has
that?
a child.
Why is that? Why would you
Because-
sign up for that? We know
Well,
we know some
no.
some women to talk to a man got 5 kids. Why?
Well,
Why? Please tell me.
because we might not be the most logical people all the time.
Come on,
And
say
there's
that. We
something-
gonna
no,
keep it real
I'ma
and keep
be
it all the way
honest.
real. Cause I
There-
know women that'll talk to a man 5 kids.
Okay, but there's something about when you see a man, as a woman, when you see a man with a kid, sometimes it just clogs your judgment.
Sarah, man,
I'm being honest
I
with you.
get you, but y'all better unclog it.
Okay, and I have learned the hard way.
Unclog it.
Unclog your judgment, ladies. It's not as cute as it seems.
Unclog
Okay?
it.
Because it's very easy for a man to paint a picture when he might not have full custody of his children, whereas a mom tends to have more custody of the child.
And let's be real, we living in a what? We living in a state, especially in Florida, that is mothers first. So you don't.
sure.
So like I said,
So
and I want to
even if
give
the
give
dad-
some love to my single dads a little bit on this topic. On not this, but just in this space, right?
For sure.
Because sometimes, man, dads want to be there. Dads
Of
want to be
course.
present.
Of
But
course.
just how we talking about this, some of these relationships just beyond toxic at that point. So, and you and me know this well, right? When a woman is upset with you, that's you in DEFCON 5 situation when it comes to them kids, right? And so some dads do want to be more present, do want to be
Depending on
there.
her maturity level.
Yes, very true.
And vice versa.
And vice versa, but some dads do want to do want to be there and do want to be present. But if they not allowing that space to be able to do that, and just between me and you, that's an issue as well. But I love that you brought up that topic, right? Because I feel like that's a thing, right? So you'll see a man got 5 or 6 kids. You will then get with him and have another. Okay, was there any vetting process into the situations of the other 5, or did you just think that was good? So, because me and you, we had these conversations, because we see that a lot. That's not nothing foreign. That's something happened.
Yeah.
So it's it's all, and I get it. You said, we sometimes gotta unclog your brain, but I'm just thinking from a logical perspective. And if I am a woman, right, why would I even entertain that? Now, if I have kids, that's one thing. I understand that, right? And I'll also throw this out there too. Most single women with kids won't even talk to a man got kids. Because me and you talk about that a lot of times too.
Yeah.
And I definitely see that out here in the climate. You have some women that got kids say, hey, they is not talking to a man that already got kids.
Yeah.
So, again, we talk about relationship prime. We talking about prime. I mean, that cut your pool down even further.
But I think, too, it really depends.
Okay.
On what, like, where you're at. Like, I feel like now that I have learned the lessons from my other relationships, and I am in a stable career, I have much more knowledge and more to offer. That, like, for me, I feel that really right now, probably when I turned 30, I would say, like, when I turned 30, moving forward, I feel like that is when my prime started.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
when you are younger, you don't fully understand, and I'm not saying I understand life as a whole now, but there's so many things that you're still learning about yourself, who you want to be, what you want to do, the type of people you want to associate with. And, like, to set a goal, and I'm not saying it's not possible, because there are plenty of people who get married and have successful relationships in their 20s.
Yeah, of course.
But
we're not,
for the most part, especially in our circle of influence, not many people that we know that are our age are happily married, or some people our age right now are getting divorces.
Of course.
And why are we in our early 30s or mid 30s getting a divorce already? But that's because we were not ready yet. At that age, we were still sorting out life and then trying to throw another person in it.
And it's hard. Like,
So
let's be clear, it's hard both ways.
Oh,
the divorce rate is high as it's ever been.
Of course,
and,
but I think if we took,
there's so many stresses. So.
Right. I think if we took our younger years, rather than having the pressure of chasing a relationship and partnership, that we could find ourselves, and then our prime years would start. I think, like you said, like, of course, making babies, things like that, there are clocks, so to say, on things like that, especially for women. And I think that's why we have an added pressure to find these relationships earlier on. I can say for me, like, literally in my 20s, turning 30 was like, I thought I was going to die. Like, I turned 25 and I had a quarter of my life crisis. Like, I cried. It was not good. Like, I was really like, oh my God, I'm 25. I don't have a husband. I don't have any kids. Like,
I got a question for you, though.
How am I going to make it through this? But then I overcame that. And when I turned 30, I was like, why did I freak out over all that? For what? Yeah. Now, I think I'm in my prime now. And I would say, I don't know when prime ends.
Yeah.
Because I don't.
Okay.
I haven't experienced that yet.
Let me ask you this. Just a question I got for you. Do you think we throw that live and learn concept out there? Like, I love it. I hear people throw it out there a lot. Oh, you do better, you do better. Okay, and I'm a firm believer of some of that, right? But I also think we be trying to throw that up as an excuse sometimes.
In regards to what?
Because people are trying to say in their younger years, the reason why they were so bad with some of their relationship decisions because they had to live and learn.
No, I don't
think
so.
All right, so that's the only thing I want to ask you, because and me and you hear that all the time. People love to throw that out there when they make bad relationship decisions.
Correct.
Right?
Well, any decision.
Any decision, but really relationships, right? You live and learn, because I can understand live and learn on a lot of things, right? Relationship wise, when people using that term after the ripe age of 25, I mean, I get it. It's still a lot of life in between 30 and 25 to me.
I agree.
Okay, I get it. A whole lot. I get it. But Sarah, man, that's tough. To always say that's the reason why I was bad. Okay, so what happens if you still bad at 30? We still living and learning?
But I don't think we should say live and learn. Like,
Cause okay, you always learning.
You
but
do get lessons from those poor experiences
I like that. I like that better. Okay.
But I also think we need to stop saying, like, the other person ruined their relationship. Like, we both took part in the relationship failing.
Yes.
And in turn, we have then grown into other, like, different people than we were in that season of our life.
Please.
So it's so important.
Yes.
Instead of saying living and learning, I think it's growing through the seasons of your life. And when you're in that 21 to 20, I would say even 26, right?
Yeah.
Like 21 to 27, like that season of life is literally exploration. Like, label it exploration.
Yeah.
You are going through things, you are chasing things, you are literally figuring out who you are as a human.
Can we please say this too? And just before we switch to our third topic, can we just say this? Relationships always take two people, guys. So while we talking about prime, we talking about friends' opinions in your relationship thing, relationships end because two people decided. Mm-hmm. Relationships don't just go bad because of one person. Okay? So I'm going to tell you straight up right now, Tashawn Williams has been terrible at some point in times of relationships.
We all have.
Come on, man. Just be honest.
Not me. I'm pretty great.
Just be honest. Just be honest. At some point in time, you've been terrible in a relationship. Maybe it was because you didn't have your finances together. Maybe because somebody important in your life died. Maybe because you were just young and on your bullshit. But let me tell you something. Every situation that ends, people have shared responsibility on why some of these situations fail.
Yeah.
Whether it was poor decision making on me to stay with the person, whether it was
that part.
That's what I'm saying.
Say that again.
Maybe it was because me and the person just simply weren't compatible. Maybe it was just because me and the person had ran our course and we stayed a little bit too long. Okay? Or maybe it was because we were just simply bad for each other. We were toxic. We weren't good for each other. The situation just never played out correctly. But it always takes two people to break down a relationship. So when I come rap with any woman, and this is just a bit of advice, fellas, and a bit of advice, ladies. If you talking to somebody and they talking to you and everything they got to say about their previous relationship is negative and always puts a light like they never did anything wrong, man, you need to run. You need to run. Ladies, you need to run. Men, you need to run. Please leave. Or find because it's no way on God's green earth that they didn't play any role in anything that happened. That's just impossible. Let me tell you why, because we human. We gonna hurt people. We gonna make mistakes. Yep. We're gonna redeem ourselves. We're gonna get better. We're gonna grow. All right, so this whole adage that, hey, man, she was bad. He was. Okay, well, what you did? Let me tell you, people, if you hear crickets, get out. Go ahead, jump in your car. You better hit, speed off, get on I-4, hit I-4 as fast as you can. Because it just, at that point, you know you dealing with a person that don't take any accountability. Bad way to start. So, just shifting gears now. Talks beyond barbell, so we wide ranging. So, a topic that we definitely wanted to discuss because I feel like it's important, especially in weightlifting, right? Because I have a lot of young lifters, high school lifters trying to advance to certain levels, right? And they see a lot of talented lifters, right? Maybe some lifters that are national USA level lifters, and they trying to figure out what's the cost to get there. So our next topic is elite athletes versus everyday athletes. So this is one that's super, I think, something that me and you both share in, right? Because, guys, let me tell you something. Weightlifting is difficult. It's not easy. It's hard on the body. It's hard mentally. And it's some days where you special, and it's some days where you're not special at all.
Ooh.
It's some days where that barbell feel like it's insurmountable and you're not going to get past it, right?
Facts.
So, but we have to be realistic in our approach. We have to be realistic with ourselves and what we're actually doing and putting into the sport, into the game. Because let me tell you, man, as a coach, I know what them national level lifters doing, them USA level lifters doing. Okay? So if you want to know that schedule, that eating schedule, that sleep schedule, right? That supplement schedule, if you want to know the type of work, the days, the grind, people quitting their jobs to chase a dream, you gotta really understand it's a price to pay to be great. People be out here playing. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm looking at dead in the camera right now. It's a price to be paid to be great. So stop tiptoeing around it. If you really trying to pay that price, then pay it. All right, but if you're not willing to pay that price, then don't question why you ain't made it there. All right, because we do a lot of this, right? And I tell my athletes this all the time. The line for average people around the block ain't gonna circle back 2 times or 3 times. The line for greatness or great people is slim. It's slimmer than you think because a lot of people not willing to actually put the time in, but they want to complain about not getting the result. Don't work like that. Yep. So at the end of the day, the difference is in us as being everyday athletes, right? Sometimes you do got other things you got going on. You might have kids. You might have other jobs. You might have things you're doing. Hell, you might have a job, coach, and try to train. It's going to be tough. It might be some nights you don't get the best sleep. As a coach, sometimes I don't get the best sleep, right? I have to check in on my athletes. I'm watching film. I'm looking at different things. I'm trying to get some things up as far as content up for my athletes, for myself. I'm trying to get plan to start the next day. I teach. I'm trying to get some things done the next day. Sometimes my sleep schedule is not the greatest. Okay, so all of this stuff plays a role. So, again, for everyday athletes, if you got a job, let's say, hey, you outside. You do construction or you might do certain things. Or you on a job where you on your feet all the day, but you don't pick up that barbell till 6 or 5 o'clock or 7 o'clock. Yeah, you probably at a disadvantage, dog. And that's not because you don't want to be great. That's just life. Yep. Now, can you still overcome those things and be great? Hell yeah. But you got to understand, too, things going to be a little bit harder. The road going to be a little bit tougher. And that's just the reality. Because like I tell people all the time, the elite athletes in any sport doing things that you can't even imagine to try to be where they at. They putting in work that you can't even imagine. Right. So while we sitting up here, because I've been to weightlifting meets, and I hear people in there talking about Olympians, talking about, oh, they suck, they this, they that. Fam, please. Some of them got more talent in they baby toe than you do. Okay, but once again, we found a way to be a critic of everything that we cannot be. Anything that we cannot grasp or attain, we have found a way to be critical of it because nowadays with social media, nowadays with a 24-hour news cycle, everybody got something to say. Let me tell you something, man. It's hard to be great. It's hard to win. It's hard to stay on top of your craft. It's hard to be number one. Drake dropped the quote, and I always remember it. Nobody praying for you when you're winning. And a lot of people be like, man, what you talking? Nah, man, nah. Nobody praying for you when you're winning because you got to understand everybody trying to get your spot. So you got to be a different type of competitor. You got to be a different type of lifter. You got to have a different type of mentality in order to get up every day and say, hey, they not removing me. They not getting me out my spot. They not knocking me off my level. This is what I do. This is what I love. This is why I'm here. And most people simply don't have that drive, don't have that ambition, but they'll play you like they do. They'll talk crap like they do. But in all honesty, most people ain't sacrificing a thing to be great. But that talk nice.
That was good speech.
Hey, you know I love that.
We do. Well, I don't think there's anything else to say.
My bad, dog. My bad.
Okay.
I got off on that one.
Yeah.
She talking about, yeah. All right, man. Hey, so we gonna jump over the hot tips. Hot tips. Now this one I am dropping to you. How do you prioritize yourself in areas such as gym, school, or even in your social life? I know not as much school for you, but gym, your social life. How do you prioritize yourself?
I think I have learned to become selfish.
Okay.
And I think a lot of times we don't want to use that word because we use it with such a negative connotation, like, oh, they're so selfish. But in order to be happy and find your own happiness and not have your happiness rely on somebody else, it's so important to be selfish with your time. And so for me, I prioritize what brings me the most joy. Like, obviously, you have to go to work. Like, got to pay your bills, right? So sustain life first and foremost. And then after that, it's what fills your cup. And for me, that's going to the gym. That is something that brings me peace. It's my therapy. It is my outlet. And honestly, that becomes your social life. Like, you build friends and people who support you based off of your interests, right? And so the people at the gym have become my family. They become who you talk to every day, who you interact with, and the opinions you value the most. So I think you really have to sit back and think about what is the most important to you, right? So if you are going to school, where does that fall in your goals? If that is one of the most important things, if you need to finish school and get a certain GPA to get to the next level, to be closer to your goal, then that has to be on a higher priority. But people make time for what's most important for them. There are 24 hours in a day. Everybody has the same 24 hours. And so how you choose to use them is your own responsibility. So if you choose to spend 2 hours scrolling on TikTok, guilty, rather than spending the 2 hours driving to the gym, getting a workout in, and coming back home, that was your choice.
Yeah.
You prioritize social media over what you wanted
or simply
for
improving your
yourself.
craft or anything.
Exactly. And for me, like, I get caught up in social media. Like, once I start scrolling, I'm scrolling. So I know that that's a weakness, so I turn off my notifications. I turn off, like, I set a timer on my phone so that way, like, at a certain time of day, my phone goes on Do Not Disturb. And if you're not constantly hearing or seeing those notifications, you are not as reliant on your mobile device. Like, you're not looking at it so frequently because when you have it in your hand all the time, it's second nature. It's there, so you just look at it. But you become so much more productive in other areas of your life. You can invest more valuable time, not just literally sitting there scrolling on your phone with people, because that's not adding any value to your life, right? So I think that's what I had to do, is I had to really sit down and say, like, what is it that I'm working towards? And which things in my life are going to help me get there effectively so I can better manage my time. So that means being non-negotiable on those things as well. So, like, right now, I'm coaching at 5 a.m. So that means around 8 o'clock at night has now become bedtime.
Yeah, gotta go.
Like, so if that's a problem for anybody, well, then they might not need to be a priority in my life because they're not recognizing things that are important to me.
Yes.
Right? And so you have to make those tough decisions to take a look at everything around you to make sure that everything that you're keeping close is moving you towards your goal, what you're doing, how you're moving, the people you associate with, and then move on from there. And you find the time to have a social life with those people. So, like, I know Saturday nights, afternoonish,
Yeah. I got time.
Sunday morning,
Sunday morning,
when
Sunday.
I'm not doing Sundays
Yeah.
are like my house day, right?
Yeah.
So Sundays are the day to like
But we'll-
clean,
yeah.
cook,
But
hang out.
Some Sundays, you know.
No, but I'm saying
we
like,
negotiate.
but those things like clean, cook, laundry, those don't take all day,
No.
you know. So you can be a little bit more flexible on those things. But so those are the times that you can find your social life, whatever that looks like for you. Like for me, my friends know, like I don't want to be out in these streets. Like I'm too old. I'm tired. If we can do something chill, I'll go out every once in a while, but that's no longer important to me.
Yeah.
Like,
and things change.
that scene is not somewhere I want to be all the time. Out to dinner once in a while, going, like, I would rather travel. So if that means I don't go out, like, to a bar or something like that for 6 months because I've gone on 3 trips, that's more important
That's
to me.
important.
But that's what I've chosen to prioritize, you know? So what about you? How do you prioritize things?
I think I just have learned to be a lot more selfish with my time as well. I mean, just prioritizing the things that matter to you. What is important to you? So what's important to Tashawn? You know, what's important to Tashawn is being a teacher, being a coach, helping my kids, helping people in general. Those things are important to me, right? So I spend a lot of time in those arenas, in those areas. I spend very little time with adults, right? And some of that is by choice, right? I just love the energy. I love the realness. I love the curiousness. I just love the energy of young people trying to advance and get better, and the questions they ask, and the realness they come at you with, and the joy and the peace and a lot of those things that a ton of that, right? And even the bad days when they come for help, when they come for assistance, when they want to talk about certain things, it's all beautiful in my eyes. But so yeah, just being more selfish with my time, understanding the things that are important to me as a man, and staying in a space that allows me to be great in those areas, and not trying to reach and go back into other areas that may no longer suit what I'm trying to do. I ain't trying to impress nobody. I'm not out here like I used to be. I don't have no need to do all that. That stuff to me is regular. So people want to act like that's top shelf. And like I said, you talked about the trip. Some of that ain't. Like, I'm cool with doing it, but people always like, oh, I got to see the south of France. I got to see this. I got to see that. That shit to Tashawn don't matter. It don't matter. What matters to Tashawn is relationships, building these young people up and doing those things. So I'm cool with that. Now, is that to say, oh, Tashawn won't never do nothing? No. But some of those things that other people value a lot, I don't really value that, right?
Right.
If I don't see none of those places ever in my life, that don't mean I didn't have a great existence here and a great time here.
For sure.
So that's why I said sometimes you just got to take value in the life that you have, and you got to love the things that are important to you. And if they're important to you, that's great. If something else is important to somebody else, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
But we just have to respect. We have to respect that, and we have to appreciate what each other values. But at the same point in time, don't ever take for granted what you got. So.
And I think too, it's important to focus on one goal. Like, what are you working towards? So, like for me, when it comes to competition season, or like when we're working towards a meet, that then becomes the priority goal of how I'm going to plan other things. So that's going to depict my gym schedule. That's going to depict what my social life looks like. Like, you can ask my friends, and I travel often. We all know that, right? Yeah. But if it's leading up to a meet, like, I will not go because that's not what is the top priority at that point in time. So your priorities will shift for different reasons throughout your life, throughout the year. But it's important to always come back to that goal. What are you working towards? Where are you going? And once you attain that goal, now you can move on, and you may have to reprioritize to get to the next level of whatever it is that you're trying to do.
Yeah,
right?
that's real.
All right, well, the last question from our hot tip section is about you. So the people want to know, how did Coach Williams find weightlifting?
Weightlifting for me was just always something I did. Obviously, just always something I've done since I was a high schooler. So I did high school weightlifting, that whole scene. But I played football, I played college ball, things of that nature. So if you tend to be an athlete of any kind and you play any sport, it's just a competitive spirit and something that you seek your whole life. It's very few athletes that I know that after they playing days are done don't want to be tied to sports at all. So you just kind of try to find something to feed that outlet. So for me, weightlifting just gave me that. It gave me another route to compete, another route to stay locked in. But the biggest reason why I got into weightlifting was just to help my kids. And then it just kind of transformed, I began to become better and elite at high school at the coaching realm, and now trying to dive into Olympic and get to a level where I'm elite at that, and just sought out people, man. So just have gained a lot of knowledge, man. I can't say enough about the community and just how much I've grown as an athlete, as a coach, and it's helped. I've been able to help my kids. I've transformed from my first years of coaching to now tremendously. Whether that's programming, whether that's doing certain lifts, whether that's understanding rest and recovery, whether that's understanding that, light days are important, technical days are important as well. And then just trying to guide young people through through some of the pitfalls and just the journey in itself, right? I'd have to say I'm happy that weightlifting found me, and it's definitely given me a lot. Football, will forever be my first love, but this close second is love is real, and just trying to continue to advance, not only as an athlete, but more importantly as a coach. So, yeah, shout out to weightlifting. Shout out to it. Love it. What's up?
So the question was, how did you find weightlifting?
Yeah.
Okay. So you played football.
Yeah.
And at what point were you like,
oh, nah. Well,
so
pretty
did
much.
you, let's explain it to people, right? So did you coach weightlifting first, or were you a competitive weightlifter first?
No, I coached it first.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did you fall into coaching weightlifting
well,
if you had more of a football background?
Yeah.
How did that start?
Well, once I graduated, I thought I had opportunities to play. You want to try to keep playing. I had a little tryout for the Orlando Predators, kind of played one game. After that, ended up getting cut. It was just one of them situational things. Started coaching college football. I was the head DB coach at Warner University for the first 2 years of the program, but I also did strength and conditioning for them. Transitioned from over there, I was the head DB coach, defensive coordinator at Lake West High School, but I also still was into the strength and conditioning portion because I understood how important that was. Mm-hmm. And so, obviously, the opportunity to coach high school weightlifting came open. Shout out Coach Pavin for giving me that opportunity. And then, so I started coaching boys weightlifting. And then we had a tremendous amount of success, still continue to be top 5 program in the state. We've dominated Polk County for at least the last 7 years. And so probably around my 5th year doing that, I got approached about taking over the girls program because the girls weightlifting had just started in the county, in Florida, statewide. So once that opened up, I had started running that, so now I'm the head coach of both of those programs, and so that's pretty much how it found me. So I got done, after I got done playing football, I started being a defensive back coach, but I was also the strength and conditioning coach. So that kind of how it parlayed into.
And at what point did you then say, I want to be a weightlifter myself?
I had
compete.
Yeah, I had started training, and I had been training for a little while. And like I said, I was strong, but you don't know what you don't know. So I had to start searching out people. I had to start looking into the sport. And let's be clear, the sport has boomed, man. We in like, I don't care what nobody say, we're in the golden age of weightlifting right now. And despite what the Olympics decide to do or what they don't decide to do, what we doing on the ground here in Florida, hey, can't be touched. So if nobody else gonna carry it, we'll do it. So at the end of the day, the sport has just took off and caught like wildfire. But when back then, yeah, I was training like most people. I didn't snatch back then at all, not ever. You know what I mean? And I was a football guy, so I power cleaned everything. And so you start to get through certain levels, but you can't power clean for forever. You know what I mean? And some people manage to do it, but at some point you gotta learn better technique, better form, better principles, better things that you need to do. You know. And obviously getting introduced to the snatch and doing certain things, and at first it was rough because you're going through the same transition as the clean. But so I started doing that. So I was kind of dibbling and dabbling. And then I would say probably about a good 2 or 3 years ago, I decided to actually start taking things a little bit more seriously. I only really started competing about a year and a half ago, really, honestly.
Yeah.
So it hadn't been that long, but I was training a lot up to that point, but I hadn't decided yet whether I was going to do it or not. That was just something I did to kind of release some tension, get some energy out. But I was coaching still. So, I always had that itch. And as you advance as a coach, you start learning better practices, help your kids. And then it just kind of took off from there. So that's pretty much how I found it.
Well, I hope that gives the people what they want.
I'll say less. Hey, man, but
nobody asked, but no, I'm just kidding.
Hey, man, we love y'all, man. And that's Talks Beyond the Barbell, episode 4. We appreciate y'all rocking with us.
Stay tuned for more.
Stay tuned. Please stay tuned. Love y'all.
Bye.
Peace.